Good day, I'm Theodore Henry, and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, April 19, 2023. Jamaica's tourism sector recorded over $1 billion in earnings for the first 3 months of this year as it drives the country's strong post-pandemic economic rebound. Minister of Tourism Edmund Bartlett outlined the performance and plans for the sector as he opened the 2023-2024 sectoral debate in Parliament yesterday.
This is the biggest and best winter season that Jamaica has ever had in the history of tourism. We brought in 1.185, nearly 1.2 million visitors. And that's 94.4% higher than last year. And we brought in the process $1.12 billion US dollars, which is 46.4% increase over last year.
Minister Bartlett adds that monthly stopover arrivals has surpassed 2019 figures and 2023 will show a full recovery in annual figures. The calendar year is projected to record 3.8 million visitors and $4.1 billion in earnings. The minister says Jamaica's tourism performance continues to benefit from an increase in investments.
Over the last 5 years, tourism investment contributed 20% of the island's total foreign direct investment. And over the next 5 to 10 years, there are multiple upcoming investment projects which will see an addition of 15 to 20,000 new rooms with investment of 4 to 5 billion US dollars.
Jamaica's tourism industry is now expected to see a full recovery this year ahead of the previously estimated 2024 timeline. To secure tourism's continued growth, the portfolio minister says focused attention will be placed on public order. As he opened the sectoral debate yesterday, Minister Bartlett warned industry players that disorder and poor practices would not be allowed to disrupt the country's destination assurance. He says the post-pandemic boom and attractiveness of the sector has the unfortunate side effect of leading to more disorder in the sector.
So there's also a good thing, Madam Speaker, that so many more people are coming into the tourism space. But it also can be a bad thing if order and criminality and poor practices are made to creep in and provide, Madam Speaker, a disruption of the destination assurance that we offer to our visitors.
Minister Bartlett says this is not an issue tied to any race or people's socioeconomic conditions, and stakeholders have a duty to ensure that all persons entering the space follow the rules and are respectful of the importance of law and order.
It takes one bad incident, Madam Speaker, just one damage at a location, and it destroys the destination, not just for weeks or months, but for years. Let us stand up for good law and order and discipline in the society.
At the same time, the minister is stressing that despite the challenges of crime and violence that exist here in Jamaica and many other destinations, crime against tourists on the island remains extremely low, at less than 0.1%. The Tourism Ministry will be implementing an anti-harassment strategy to ensure the continued safety and security of visitors. In other news, Prime Minister Andrew Holness is urging his fellow CARICOM leaders to continue lobbying the United States to assist regional efforts aimed at stemming the flow of guns into the Caribbean. The Prime Minister was speaking during a roundtable dialogue at the Regional Symposium on Violence as a Public Health Issue with other CARICOM leaders in Port of Spain, Trinidad. He asserts that while regional administrations have had to divert resources from other areas to fund and support a war on drugs, there seems to be no real interest in stopping the other part of the trade, which is the guns. Mr. Holness says this must be addressed as the gun fuels crime, pointing out that they are needed to protect drugs that are transshipped through the borders and are then used to carry out other forms of criminal activities.
We have seen in Jamaica where the weapon of choice is no longer the AK-47. It is the AR-15, it is the Glock. These are guns that are manufactured in North America. So collectively, as the leaders of CARICOM, we must raise our voice on this. We must appeal to our friends in the North to increase their efforts to prevent the flow of guns into the region. As we have assisted them in the war on drugs, they must assist us in the war on guns.
The Prime Minister adds that countries in the region need to take steps to protect their points of entry and increase their ability to detect the entry of illegal weapons. 5 families in Manchester are now celebrating being in their new homes, courtesy of government's new social housing program, NSHP. Prime Minister Andrew Holness handed over the units last week. The Evans family, whose home was destroyed by fire in 2017, were among the recipients. They received keys to their 3-bedroom abode last Friday. The Kelligan family has been rescued from their menial 1-room dwelling and will move into their brand new 3-bedroom home in short order. Single mom Faith Ann Thomas is giving thanks for the new home that she and her 3 children will now enjoy. Roger Mitchell, who is visually impaired, will be seeing better days now that he and his family have a brand new home. And Miss Bernicia Blake received a 3-bedroom house of her own after having gone through some tough times.
We believe that all Jamaicans are entitled to decent shelter.
Prime Minister Holness reiterates that it is government's responsibility to see to the needs of its people, particularly those who are most vulnerable.
Generally, the people who are living here are not able to afford this. The conscience of the society is that we should provide social housing, the minimum standard of housing. And there are various modalities through which we provide that. This is one form of social housing where we literally come and we build a basic unit and give you that unit fully subsidized, meaning you don't pay anything for it.
And finally, farmers in St. Elizabeth can expect to see a boost in their food production due to the installation of more solar panels at the Beacon E pump station. The installation was carried out by the National Irrigation Commission, NIC, to improve water delivery. Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries Pernell Charles Jr. says the new solar panels will allow the NIC to self-generate around 60% of the electricity needed for the station. This should cut its yearly energy bill by nearly $9.5 million or by 55%.
The energy cost of water production will be reduced by at least 15% in the entire irrigation district. And the reduction will allow for us to be able to translate this now to more efficiency.
He was speaking recently at the Beacon Little Park community in St. Elizabeth to commission the solar panels.
The Beacon E solar pumping station is the 4th NIC pumping station to be outfitted with solar panels. 390 farmers, including 100 female farmers and 1 person living with a disability, will benefit from this solar retrofit through the improved service delivery from the NIC here in Beacon Little Park.
And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.